Chapter 6, Dive Planning and Recording. To further reduce the risks in diving and to enjoy your diving experience to the fullest, it is essential that you plan and prepare your dives in advance. Your long-range planning begins many months ahead of a major dive trip. Even for a day of diving at a local site, your long-range planning also begins well before your dive. Your first step is to plan the objective of your dive. For example, you might want to practice your navigation skills or try out a new camera. Your second step is to select your location. You should also discuss an alternate location in case conditions are unacceptable at your primary location. If the dive site is unfamiliar to you, you must research it. Don't forget to investigate emergency services in the area. Your third step is to determine the date and time of your dive trip. You should be well rested and not have consumed alcohol within 12 hours of a planned dive. Your fourth step is to make travel arrangements. Your fifth step is to determine your equipment needs. Your sixth step is to determine whether you need to take a NAUI worldwide refresher course before your trip. If you have not been diving in 6 months or more, a refresher course is a good idea. It is vital to prepare a to-do list for arranging your dive. Keep it handy so you can add to it as thoughts occur. Short-range planning starts about a week before your dive. You need to inventory your gear and inspect it to be sure it is in good condition and ready for use. Make any repairs that you are qualified to make. Avoid waiting to the last minute to buy items you need for your trip. Don't forget spare parts for your equipment. Have an extra mask strap or tank valve O-ring. As you pack your gear, check it against your list. 1 or 2 days before your trip, check the weather trends, water conditions, tides, and the long-range forecast. Always be sure to leave a copy of your plans with someone. Pack your gear in 2 bags, one for your dive gear and one for personal items. Pack your gear in the reverse order of its use. Do not pack your weight belt with your dive gear. The easiest way to carry your belt is to wear it. The acronym CBAG is an easy way to remember the series of steps that you follow to plan a dive. Site survey. Before you even suit up, evaluate the conditions at the site to determine if they are acceptable for your planned activity. If the conditions are bad, travel to an alternate location or do not dive. Never be afraid to say that you do not feel good about diving in poor conditions. Once you decide you can dive, you must determine which buddy will be the leader of the team. This person is in charge of the decision-making during the dive. It's advisable that the person who is most familiar with the area should lead the first dive. Emergency plan. You must discuss contingency plans, emergency procedures, and accident management. Agree on what to do if one of you runs out of air. Agree on what to do if separated underwater. Agree on how to summon help if needed. Make sure you have information about local emergency contacts and that you know the location of the nearest working telephone. Activity. There are many things you can do while diving, but you should select only one activity as the purpose of any one planned dive. You and your buddy must agree on the activity and review the standard hand signals as well as any special signs. Decide on your depth and time limits according to your dive tables or dive computer. Decide at what point you will turn around and start toward your exit point. When you are planning the direction of your dive, be sure to consider an alternate route or an alternate exit point to be used if conditions change while you are on your dive. You must carry out the plan you have made for your dive. You must not abandon the dive plan midway through the dive. If something occurs that causes you to change, surface or exit long enough to make new plans. When you are prepared for a dive, many benefits result, and these results are worth the time you take to properly plan and prepare. After each dive, you should record information from your dive in your logbook. Record the number of your dive, date, water visibility, starting air pressure, ending air pressure, and your deepest depth. On the right side of the NAUI logbook pages are 3 boxes for recording your diving hours. Use these boxes to keep a running total of your dive time. Get in the good habit of recording the information at the end of each diving day or after each dive while the information is fresh in your mind.